Hey everybody, my name is Suk. Welcome to Lead Guitar Workshop. And today I want to talk to you a couple tips about how to play the changes. When you play the changes, the idea is you're talking directly to the chord when you're soloing or building melodies versus a global one scale for everything. So let me give you 3 tips on how to make that easier and how to approach it. There's no one way to do all this, but I found these very helpful. Let's find the chord progression first. Let's say we had 4 chords. We had C, now I have a little loop set up. We're going to get that going in a second. In fact, let's listen to it right now. There's the C, F, D minor, and G. Now one of the first things you need to do is have that happening there. C, right? Here comes the F. F. You have to be in it in your head. D minor, you have to always know where you are. That's step number 1. It's very easy when you're soloing just to kind of let that go and just one scale, let it fly. But when you need to play the changes, you have to know where you are. Okay, the second tip is melodic bass lines. Let me pause this for a second. What are melodic bass lines? This is a term I use that it's a bass player's approach to starting to solo. What I mean by that is a bass player's general rule, his kind of first goal, is to play the root note at the start of each chord. And that would be like at the start of each chord on beat 1, right? That's really important that we recognize that. So let's find a couple of these notes on the guitar. So we had C, so let's even just go on our high E string. We have C, then it's F, D on the 10th fret, G on the 3rd fret. So if we just put that into play, F, D, G. Do it again, C, down to F, D, and G. Now, that might be a little much on one string, so let's take a look if we find, let's keep the C up here, but let's go to the B string and find the same notes. We have a C down here, F on the 6th fret, D on the 3rd fret, and G on the 8th fret. So now practice mixing those. There's the C, F, D, I'll go up to G on the B string, back to C, I'm gonna go up to F on the 13th, D on the 10th maybe, and maybe even a high G. I'm adding more, I know we're talking about that, but the idea is you wanna be able to see your root notes, start on the E string, the B, G string. You need to kind of know the notes on your fretboard. That's why you need to know these things to help get to it, right? So that's tip number 2, I call melodic bass lines. That helps your brain train you to land the chord changes on the change with the root note to start. It's not as exciting musically to do that, but you need to line up your mind to do that, and that's a great way to start. The other one is what I call easy as 1, 2, 3. Instead of thinking keys or really anything at all, past major and minor. This is pretty simple, literally as easy as 1, 2, 3. What do I mean by that is for any major chord, you can play 2 whole steps above the root, and that will give you the root, the 2nd of the scale, and the 3rd. The 3rd is a chord tone. So with this idea, you get 2 of the 3 chord tones, the root and the 3rd, and a beautiful color tone in between the 2. So what does this look like? Well, if I'm on the C up here, let's go right to the high E string, right on the 8th fret, I'm just doing C, D, and E for that. For the F, I could do down here on the F. I get 2 whole steps, 1, 2, 3 for that chord. If I stay on the high E string, if I go to the D. Now for minor, we do a whole step and a half step. This works most of the time. There's a couple of times that you have to do a half step and then a whole step. But for now, almost all the time, you can get away with a whole step and a half step. So from D, that's D, E, F, a whole step 10 to 12 and a half step to 11. And then for the G, we're back to major, so that's 2 whole steps. The cool thing is you're kind of using the intervals of a string to help remind you of the music notes. So if you can find the bass note, you get a couple extra with it. So let's put that in action. F. G. C. You want to try to mix them up eventually. You know, you don't have to play all three of them. Pretty easy, right? It takes, again, you have to open your peripheral vision. You have to know where you are with the chords. And we're just chasing the changes around. Before we go into the other strings and stuff, just a reminder, if you like what you're hearing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Make sure you sign up on our mailing list for Lead Guitar Workshop and find out about the 6-string community. I teach a lot of this stuff all the time in our community. I do live classes every week. So make sure you check that out, get on the mailing list and find out when you can join and get part of this, because it's amazing. We have some great people from all over the globe, actually, in there now, and it's been awesome. Okay, so if we do this on the other strings, right? So we have C down here on the first fret. We're playing the 1, 2, 3s of each chord. So C, F, D minor. Remember, that's the whole step and a half step. And then G. Now, when you're playing these 1, 2, 3s, don't feel like you have to play all three of them. Don't feel like you have to play them in the same order. Really get creative. It sounds kind of silly because you think, well, 1, 2, 3, isn't this like Hot Cross Buns or Three Blind Mice or something? And it is, but no. It's the first 3 notes of a scale. In fact, these are the first 3 of any major pentatonic. You get 3 out of the 5 notes of a pentatonic. That's pretty freaking cool. You're not thinking pattern 1 or 2s or anything. We're just going right at the notes. So let me play through this and I'll give you some ideas of how I like to mix it up. I love bending the 2 up to the 3. You can reverse that. Sliding. You could play 2 of the 3. Again, you get creative with this. The cool thing is if you add all these notes up, you get the whole key anyways. So are you playing in the mode? I guess theoretically, do you have to think that way? No, not at all. Let's try this. Ready? Let it breathe on the G, right? C. One more. C, F, so cool, man. No one ever taught me this, right? When I was taught to play changes, it was modes and scales and like mass amounts of information, and I was just overwhelmed. It never sounded right and it felt awkward. So again, the 3 tips you have to do to start this process. You have to know the chords in your head and you have to be able to be on them at any moment. It's like musical chairs. If the song just stopped, you should say, hey man, I was just about to get to the D minor chord. You have to know where you are. That's number 1. Number 2, melodic bass lines, right? Plant the root down at first just to get your brain and your guitar in the place of the chords with the song and follow the changes. Then you can build off from there. The third one is easy as 1, 2, 3. Playing the root, second, and third of a chord really goes a long way. Really does. On the guitar, it's simple because it's all on 1 string at first. You can mix that up later. So it's easy to keep track of without thinking too much notes. There's not too much memorization of patterns and shapes and stuff, right? You're going right after the chord. The more you do this, the more creative it is. It's amazing how good this sounds. All right, well, I hope you liked what you heard. Again, my name is Souk. This is Lead Guitar Workshop. Please sign the mailing list. Get on, subscribe to the channel, of course. You can check out our website. We have my books for sale and all that. But I want you to check out the 6-string community. We have a great thing going here, and I want you to be part of it. We do this all the time. We exercise these ideas. I like to keep it simple and realistic to get the most, right? I was not a good memorization person. I couldn't memorize sheets of black dots. I realized a long time ago, if I was sitting there soloing and I'm thinking what fret, what finger, and what string, I was not in the right place as a musician. I needed to think, here's a C, and I'm in major. That's what you need to think like that. So kind of redirecting your thought process. All right, guys. Well, have a great day. And as usual, keep playing.